Every day is a challenge of a differing kind. It mainly consists of getting through a day safely and with limited damage. Although my week is structured and quite routined, each day throws up a different challenge. Challenges in which I have to think on my feet, and of which there are no routine answers. These challenges are not the everyday challenges, the sort of challenges that everybody has to face. I am talking about the everyday life challenges that most people take for granted. A slight change in tone to somebody I say hello to on the way to the bus stop can throw up all sorts of confusion and can set the tone for the day ahead. Yesterday they said hello and they were all over me. Today they seem distant and cold. I wonder what it is I've done. I begin to reproach myself. Do I come across cold or unlovable? Then I relate this to an incident from the past. From school maybe. I go over and over a conversation I had 20 years ago in my head, repeating over and over in my mind. I didn't mean that when I said this. What I meant was something else. I lose my concentration halfway through and think of last weekend's match. I have to talk about Sunderland Football Club, and no matter what has happened to them that weekend, I have a thinking ritual in which I tread carefully in what I say, so as not to tempt fate and make things collapse for the team. I repeat this phrase several times, and then halfway through it, I remember I hadn't finished, going over what I was originally thinking about, and relating it back to what was said at school. I have to stop and restructure my thinking pattern. I then start from the beginning. I go over each concern, clarifying it, and then repeat it 3 times each. Then I feel that I have exercised some kind of a negative spirit. Only then can I relax. I approach the crossing to the bus stop. The traffic is horrendous. I just don't need it. I think frustrated thoughts and I boil up inside. This is a catalyst for a new thought process in which I have to justify my thoughts and convince myself that I am not a bad person. I then overcompensate by being over polite to the other people I meet that day. The bus comes, thank Christ. I gasp. I've now took the Lord's name in vain. I have to apologise in my head to God and satisfy my superstitions so that he will not make the world I live in even more fraught with anxiety and confusion than it already is. I do this whilst finding my bus pass and putting my Walkman away. I alight the vehicle and I re-prepare to face one of my big challenges of every bus journey, old people on the bus. When an old person comes on a bus, I feel very conscious of giving up my seat to them and conscious of what others will think of me if I don't give up my seat and someone else does. But I can't judge when the right time is and when it is not. So I go right to the back to avoid the turmoil that this causes me. Otherwise I end up jumping up and down like a jack-in-the-box. And I can see people smirking. I try to move heaven and earth to reduce any conflict that I have in my day. Criticism is a price that I am not prepared to pay. I feel emotionally bankrupt and I have to keep my debts to a minimum. The bus arrives, I get off, and I walk about half a mile to the day service. My Walkman blocks out the obsessions in my head until I arrive at the unit and start on my jobs. The day has now begun, and I am with my friends and colleagues. I am in safe and familiar territory. My journey through the outside world has ended, until this afternoon anyway.